To begin with, can you tell us what exactly you're showing us today? What kind of a hack is this?
Yeah. So basically, all the vulnerabilities which is there in a simple ordinary web application, those vulnerabilities I'm going to demonstrate what kind of vulnerabilities could be there and how the attack could possibly be happening.
Okay, so just to give a little bit more perspective, when you're talking about a web application, this could be any kind of a website.
Any kind of website, yeah. E-commerce, be it a banking website or any social media, any sort of website.
Okay.
Yeah. So in this demonstration, I'll be using two tools.
Okay.
One is Suite, which is open source tool, which anybody can go and download the tool from the internet. And second is SQL Map, which is again an open source, anybody can download.
Okay.
And the operating system which I'll be using will be Kali.
Okay.
Kali, it's a Linux operating system. Most of the hackers are acquainted with the operating system. Why I'm using this operating system is most of the tools and repositories, they are easily executable.
Okay.
And the tools are already inbuilt, so it's easy and it's handy and.
And what is the website that you are going to be hacking?
So this is my DVW website, which I'll be hosting locally, like in my local system.
Okay.
And then I'll be showing you what different attack scenarios could be in the web application.
So just to explain it to people, when you say you're hosting a website locally, in the real world, you could have a website that's hosted on, let's say, GoDaddy or Amazon or any server.
Yeah.
That is the real world scenario.
Yeah.
And this website that you've created is just for the purpose of this hack, but in the
Correct.
real world, it could be any website.
Any website,
okay,
correct.
Fine, shoot.
Yeah. This is the command which I'll be using so as to start my Apache server, where I'll be hosting the application to the server.
Okay.
This is another sort of server which supports your SQL queries and commands.
Okay.
Right? So I'll just go to the browser. I'll give the IP address of my local host, which is which is 127.0.0.1, and then the name of my web application, DVW. So I'll be redirected to the login panel of the application. So now I'll be starting my tool, which is your Suite. It's a Java-based tool. That's why I'm using this command java-jar.
And this is essentially you're beginning the process of hacking into the website.
Correct.
Okay.
So in this demonstration, I'll be giving you a manual approach also and also an automated approach also.
Okay. So now this website that we are going to be hacking is, since it says username and password, this could be any real world website, let's say from any social networking website to a banking to even
Correct.
a survey or a private website that you visit that requires you to have a username and a password.
Correct.
Where your username sometimes could also be linked to your email ID.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct. So I'll just put the application to my target here so that I can capture any communication which is happening via this tool. Yeah.
So put simply, you're putting in the name or the address of that particular website.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, this is my application.
Yeah.
Now I'll be bypassing this login panel with the help of a brute force technique.
Okay.
Right?
And can you elaborate what that means?
Brute force is like, it's a sort of dictionary attack. Like I'll be having few lists with a combination of admin passwords and username.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So it will be like doing the permutation and combination, like 1 with 2, 1 with 3,
Okay.
and accordingly. And then when I'll be getting the correct password, it will automatically get me logged into the
like
application.
match the following that they give in school,
Yeah,
match
correct,
1 with 3,
correct,
4 with 2.
correct.
So, yeah.
So any credential will be just applying.
Okay.
So right now I'm unaware that what credential will be required, yeah, suitable for the login page. So I'll just type my name and anything. So nothing is happening, right?
Yeah.
I'll capture the request in my tool. Here is the request.
At the bottom.
Yeah. here I'll be injecting one of my payloads from the dictionaries
Okay.
to the username and to the password.
Okay. And
So I'm adding these signs.
Yeah. And the reason you put in a random username and password was to get this particular thing.
Yeah, the request.
Okay.
Correct. So this here attack type I'm using cluster bomb. It is like it will be doing the permutation and combination as I told you.
Yeah.
Match the following questions likewise. Yeah. So for the payload one, I'll give some manual random usernames, right? Because if I use a dictionary, it will be having 12,000 or something like that. Many combinations of the username. So it will take
So the
time.
convenience of time
Yeah,
we
yeah.
are using or no.
Yeah. So
But yeah. So as you keep
some
typing,
default usernames I'll be using so that.
So usually
I could-
administrators in a lot of
Yeah,
companies have admin or administrator and pretty common usernames. So it's easier to put in a username and spend less time doing the
Correct.
match the following process to get the password. But in a situation where you do not have the username, you will have a proper system that will
Correct.
generate both usernames and password. And what is generally the time that a situation like that can take where you
see-
don't know the username or the password?
See, it depends on the situation wherein the length of the dictionary list which you use. So if it's like if you're using for a dictionary list having 12,000 something, 1,000 to 12,000 characters or words, so half an hour to 1 hour it will take. So accordingly, how complex the security is, you apply the list of the
Permutations and combinations.
yeah. So these are different usernames which I have randomly generated.
So these are the list of usernames that you have created.
Correct.
Okay.
And these are the passwords, default passwords which I'll be creating manually.
But once again, like if you do not have a default list, then you can go through the tens
We can
of
automate,
thousands of
yeah,
automation.
using
Okay.
tool we can automate it. Now I'll be starting the attack from here.
Okay.
So here you can see
We have a list of.
always the response you have to check, what
Okay.
sort of response you're getting.
Okay.
So we'll scroll it down.
So with
Let's see, yeah.
every permutation combination of a username and password, you are generating a specific response.
Yes.
And now you're going to search for the correct response to get the correct username password combination.
Correct.
Okay. And the information that you are reading is on the bottom half of the screen.
Correct.
And when you get the correct one, you're going to point it out to us.
Yeah, here.
Okay. So this is kind of a slightly longer manual process
Yes.
where it requires a bit of time and energy to actually scroll through the list. So let's say if
Correct.
you had your list of 10, 12,000 passwords, you would have to actually scroll through those permutations and combinations
Yes.
to find it. It won't just magically pop up and say this is the correct one.
True.
So hacking isn't necessarily as cool as it is shown to be in these movies.
So here we have got that this request has got me logged in to this website,
Okay.
right?
So just to go back to the previous page you showed, the one highlighted in red
Yes.
is the correct permutation and combination of the admin username and password to
Password.
get you access to that particular website.
Correct.
Now you've highlighted it in red or
Yes.
does it pop up on
No,
top?
no, no. I have highlighted it.
Okay.
So when
how-
you are doing it manually, you have to go to the this thing request in browser thing so that you can get the result in a graphical manner.
Okay.
So one by one you have to do the permutation and combination thing, and then you have to redirect this request to the browser in order to get the graphical imagination that what is happening
Okay.
and whether you are logged in or not.
Okay. So in
So-
the interest of time, we have presumed that has happened and then come to this one particular.
Yeah, I know what sort of credentials is there. Here is the request in order to log into the web application.
Okay.
So I already know what
Okay.
credential is there. But if a person who is not aware of the credential sets which is going to be happening,
Okay.
he has to, if you are doing in a manual approach, he has to request this code to the
Okay.
browser in order to get a graphical version
Okay.
that whether the your combination has been perfectly matched or not.
Okay. And it is a time-consuming process because
it is.
it is done manually.
Correct.
Okay, cool.
Correct.
So now the one highlighted in red is the correct one, and once you input that information into the browser with the
Correct.
username password, you log
Yes.
in.
Yes.
and you have access to all the data that's behind that website.
Yes.
Okay guys, so once again I would like to reiterate that this website was created just for the purpose of this demo. We have not hacked into any real world website. The website is hosted locally on this laptop, and as you can see through the process of the hack that we were just demonstrated, we now have access to all the information that this website provides. So in a real world scenario, can you give an example of how a hack like this could either make a company or a company's data or a user's data vulnerable?
Yeah. So there is this application which is hosted on a server or some backend server which is there, right? So if we are able to, grab the admin panel of the server, where an admin is managing all the functionalities which is happening on the application. So in some of the scenarios, they use some default credentials. Like if you're a WordPress user, they use administrator or password or WordPress as their password. So therein, where they are using those default credential sets, you can easily guess, and you can use brute force technique which I've just shown you, and you can just, with the use of permutation and combination, you'll be able to easily bypass the login panel of the server, and you'll be able to grab all the functionalities and data which are there on the backend.
Okay. And so for anyone who is an admin of a website like this, what are the few things that they can keep in mind to not be hacked through brute force?
Simply they could use more complex credential sets, like the character length should be more than 6, and alphanumeric special characters they should apply and encode, and
so anything that is complicated and not a passphrase or not a name or not identifiable on a certain list.
So also there should be some sort of which I call server side validation, wherein if a user is trying to inject some query or malicious payload, those payloads should be either whitelisted, or they should just add some sort of query or you can say command to their backend server, where they'll be not accepting such queries from the attacker side.
Okay. Also in a lot of websites you see that when you try to log in, they ask you to input special characters that appear at the bottom. Is that also in a way security to help?
The captcha thing which you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, that captcha is basically in order to prevent your website from phishing attack. Phishing attack is like, if I have to do phishing attack to say Google or Facebook, I'll be creating my fake website which will be exactly replica of Facebook or something, and then I'll append that website to the legitimate website in the second half, and then if a user clicks on that link, he would not be able to judge whether it's a legitimate or where is it coming from, right? So a normal person will just see that it's a, I can forward the query saying that just apply your credential and you will get a voucher or something.
So just to put it simply, let's say if I'm accessing a website and I get a pop-up which says log in with your Facebook account here and win 5,000 rupees.
Correct.
That's the malicious website. But I see Facebook's logo, Facebook's same style username, password, which can be created by anyone who has access to web development tools. Now I as a user say, oh wow, I'll just log in and get 5,000 rupees, and when I log in, my credentials are taken away by that hacker. So in a manner of speaking, what we're trying to tell our audience right here is, when you have these random pop-ups which say win money or log in or share your credit card number and win something, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Just
don't do it.
Okay. Now there are also a lot of, for the average person sitting at home who does come across websites like these, there are a lot of abilities to block pop-ups and stuff. Is that a good enough form of security?
Yes, very good. Actually what happened is, these malicious URL, they just go to your spam box. If you are applying those blocker security techniques in your any social media or something, so it does not land to your inbox. It goes to your spam or trash. So this is the scenario where security comes into picture.
So another question that I have is, let's say I as a user have clicked on that link and said, oh, I'll win 5,000 rupees, and inputted my Facebook username and password, just for a random example. But I don't know that now I have done a malicious activity unknowingly as a user. So for this case, is there any steps or anything that a user can follow to prevent something like this happening in the future?
See, user will never get to know that he's hacked. once he input his credentials, automatically if I'm an attacker, I'll be having all those credentials which he inputs, right? So I can hack his website, or I can, multiple times I can log in and log out without knowing, without giving him an idea that any backend action is happening to his website. So he'll never come to know.
Okay, but even if you change your password or if you do something else, still your credentials are compromised.
So there is this technique which should be applied to every critical web application, which is called two-factor verification.
Okay.
Wherein after applying your this user credential, there's this mobile number which is asked to the user to apply.
Yeah.
Either it could be your mobile number or some sort of security questions or something like that.
Okay.
So two-factor verification is definitely required in order to secure yourself and your site.
Okay, so again, just to dumb it down a little bit, two-factor authentication is something that you can even have on your Gmail, where it says rather than just inputting a password, once you input the password, it sends you an OTP or a code on your phone which you input. Now, even once a hacker has all this information, is it possible for him to change access for that password that comes on your phone to his device?
See, again, if the OTP is transmitting in an unencrypted channel, what I mean by unencrypted channel is it's transmitting from the server to the user client in a plain text, not in encoded or encrypted form.
Yeah.
So if attacker is in the same network, he'll be able to grab what all information is happening between transmission of the data which is happening from client to server, and if it's happening in the plain text order, he'll be able to grab the OTP also if server has generated, and he'll be able to get it from.
And but in a normal use case scenario, let's say in the case of Gmail or any other web application that gives you the ability for two-factor authentication, is the data, the password that's sent on your phone, is it usually encrypted?
The transmission which is happening is in encrypted form. Once the user is receiving the SMS or something, it automatically decrypts itself and the user is able to see it in a plain text.
Okay, so
this is where we use private or public keys, which is in this case scenario which you are demonstrating, we use this private keys, which is assigned to that particular legitimate user only, so as to decrypt the data which is being sent from server to client.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good. So thank you so much. Is there anything else that you have out here?
Oh
wow.
It's just the beginning.
Oh wow. I thought you were in the website and you had everything.
No. So now I'll be demonstrating you this SQL injection.
Okay.
SQL injection is like an attacker is injecting his query to the value of the parameter, and that query is being executed in the backend. The application is hosted, right? Its database is stored in a database server. So that query will be automatically executed to the database server. So database can be anything, like user's personal information, his credit card, his password, his anything. Whatever backend database is there into the application. Depends from e-commerce to social media, anything.
Yeah.
So here I'll tell you how to
get that
grab those information. Correct. So he's asking for some user ID. I'll give one. Here you can see.
Yeah.
He has shown me
first name
and first. Yeah, correct. Now I'll try to inject my query. I'm using this single quote apostrophe. So this is the basic where I'm starting from. When I inject this payload, so here I have applied a single quote and it's throwing me an error, giving me this information about their backend server version, that it's using my SQL server, right? So this confirms me that SQL injection is possible in this parameter. So I'll go back. Now I'll inject a query. This query I've run, wherein I'll be this is the column and this is the row. So I'm getting this information about the column and the row. right?
Yeah.
You can increase it also. 3, 1.
Okay.
So also I'll be doing this. See. Here I'm getting the database name. So it could contain any sort of information which is there. So manually it's a long process to dump data from the request, and you have to inject multiple queries, and then you will be able to dump finally the database which is there at the backend.
Okay.
So now this SQL map tool which I'll be using comes into the picture. This is the request, right?
Okay.
I'll capture the original request without using my payload. I'll copy it to a text file.
Okay.
I'll create a folder, dvwl. Here I'll be saving this request in a text file, say 1.txt or something. I'll go to my desktop. This is the folder which is created, and here is the file.
Okay.
So I'll open my terminal. This is the command in order to start my attack.
Okay.
Right? So -r is like I'm copying this text file to this tool.
Okay.
And already we have enumerated the backend server version which was MySQL. So as to save my time, I'll directly give my DBMS to be MySQL.
Okay.
So it will run automatically all the queries which are related to MySQL server.
Okay.
Right? I'll enter it. See, it's showing me that ID parameter is vulnerable, which I have shown you already in my manual approach.
Yeah.
Right? So it's asking me, do you want to keep testing the others? If you want to, you can go. I know that there is no other parameter except this ID, but there could be multiple applications where there are multiple parameters in a request.
Okay.
Right?
So depending on the
Depending on the situation, you will give your input. The information has been dumped. Like the backend server operating system is your Linux. It's hosted on Apache this version.
Okay.
And the backend DBMS is MySQL, right? Now I'll be dumping the data.
Okay.
What all is there?
And when you say you're dumping the data, you mean you're taking everything from the website and putting it on your machine?
On my local machine, right? Every data which is there in the backend, I'll be able to access it via my local system, right? So these are the available databases which are there.
Okay.
First one I've already shown you in my manual approach. I've dumped it. So also, if you want to see what all information is there in these tables, I'll just show you. You will choose any of the database which you want to have.
And in the real world, this could be listings of names and personal data and
everything
and everything that is hosted on the website.
Exactly. So users and guest book. These are the tables which it's showing.
Okay.
Now further, if you want to dig in, you can apply many queries and you can have the information.
And you can take a dump of everything if you want from the server.
Just you need to do this command, dump all. You have to apply dump all. So these are the users which are there. Now you can apply for dump all, right? So there are a variety of users which are there, and here also it's applying this dictionary attack, right? So see, here you can see this is the column which is having user ID. This is the column where you'll be having your users, name of the users. This is some parameter, and this is the last name, first name, and finally this is the password, which is there.
Okay.
Right? You can also save the output in a text file so as to get a clear, graphical picture, because here it's a command line, so data are moving upwards and hodgepodge.
So essentially now
So-
what we were looking for was the information
So we'll
stored
be
on
able
this
to
website.
gather, yeah, definitely we'll be able to gather different, sensitive details of different users which are already being a part of the application. So we can have their username or their password also, and using that we can hack into their account and do malicious, unintended activities without their knowledge.
Okay. So this is if, let's say, I have registered on any social networking website, any email website, I would never know when that particular website gets hacked and my information like this is
Yeah.
compromised,
Correct.
right? And then that person has access to, let's say, if this was my email account, he would have my bank statements,
Anything
my
and everything
personal
as it-
information, photographs that I've saved, anything and
Correct,
everything.
correct.
So from just in the simplest way, if you can say anything that can help prevent from a consumer perspective or from the business that's providing this service to be a little safer from such activities.
Correct. See, there are different security measures which could be implied in these scenarios, like the server sides should whitelist some of the special characters which user inputs, like hashes and @ or apostrophes, which I have just used. Or maybe when the user is inputting such malicious queries, they should just encode it and dump it there and there,
Okay.
then and there.
So these
So
are practices
they
which
should
the
not
service
be-
provider
yeah.
can be aware of.
Yeah,
Okay.
they should not be processed in the backend. It should
Okay.
not reach till that point.
Okay. Okay. So is there anything else as a part of this that you think our audience needs to know? Or are we happy with the data we have
I guess
hacked?
we have almost everything and everything this application is having.
Okay.
So
Great.
this is one approach to hack into any application. There could be multiple possible vulnerabilities which could reside in this application, which I guess.
Okay. So just to reiterate for all you guys that have stayed tuned right till the end, is we showed you how a website can be hacked that has, let's say, your data stored. There are a lot of real world hacks that you have probably heard of where user data was compromised. This is just one small example of how something like that could or possibly have happened. Once again, this is a website that we created locally on the laptop out here. The team at Lucidius did this and they showed us how to hack it. This was not a real website that we went and hacked. Thank you so much guys for joining us. If you have any queries, you can always let us know in the comment section below. We will do our best to answer them. And for more videos like this one, subscribe to our Digit YouTube channel. We will catch you in another video. No sense. Okay, so you just begin the demo of